Pricing strategies. There's a whole series of them as you go through. And really, if you just take a basic marketing course, you'll see there's about 7 different pricing strategies. But when you go into the international market, you really have to have your pricing strategies geared for specific cultures as you go through. A lot of times it's really based upon the aspect of what does it cost to make the product, what is your goal as an organization as you go through. A lot of times it's influenced by culture as you go through. The sales concept really undercuts quality concepts in different countries as you go through, such as Britain and Japan. Environmental forces also interact with marketing and other functional areas, and they all have an impact on pricing and the image you want to have as you go through. Standardizing prices, a lot of times you have foreign national pricing as you go through. You want to sit down and look at your competitors as you go through and sit down there and make certain you're competitive in the way you want to be competitive. One example I use on a regular basis is Miller High Life beer. Once upon a time, it was a cheap beer in the Midwest and on the East Coast of the United States as you go through. That being said, I'll have a Miller. Everybody says, oh, okay. And so they wanted to reposition themselves, so they changed their name. They changed their name to Miller, the champagne of bottled beers, and started marketing at a much higher price on the West Coast. It caught on, and all of a sudden they're making a huge amount of money selling exactly the same beer, but they changed the label, they changed the bottle, and it became a more sophisticated beer in the process because they changed how they sat down there and focused in on the market they wanted to really focus in on as the higher end price of beer as you go through. International pricing really does the same thing. You'll see sometimes different companies selling a product here in the United States in a different country at a super high price as they go through to brand it as a super luxury product as you go through, appealing to only the finest people in that country as you go through. Here's an American elixir of liqueur over here, and you're selling it for $200 a bottle versus something very similar to it, maybe exactly the same, selling it in the United States for $40 as you go through. It's just the bottling and the picture and the advertising is much more upscale when it comes down to it. So standardizing distribution, the channels, you have to really decide in the channels, because if the channels long-term can sit down there and really make or break your product as you go through. If you have a breakdown in the process from the manufacturing to the end distribution, if you can't get the product, sometimes, by the way, that can drive the price up as you go through, which is a good thing, but if nobody can get it, they lose term and they lose the desire to get the product as you go through. A lot of times standardized distribution can sit there, may not be realistic, and you have to start with sometimes with something home as you go through and change as you go through. Sometimes you have to use a franchise to go through and distribute your product as well, and that helps a lot of times because you have people really motivated to be successful as a franchisee, and that eliminates a lot of the need for you to sit down and put a lot of time, energy, and attentiveness into the actual marketing itself, where you sit down and allocate funds and your franchisees do it for you rather than you doing it yourself. For environmental focuses, sometimes the basic geographical differences matter. Switzerland, you have it's divided up by mountain ranges to the point that they speak 3 different languages in a relatively small country by comparison. So you have all that, and it's all based primarily upon the geography. Sometimes the cultural and economic differences, they really affect distribution as you go through. And sometimes you have to unravel different ways that you do it in the process to deliver goods from the actual manufacturer to the end user as you go through. So pricing strategies, there's so many different aspects of it because of the fact the socioeconomic difference can be huge, and distribution can be easier depending upon the system that you're involved with and structure. And the two, pricing and distribution, they always go hand in hand. Make a special note of that for purposes of this class as you go through. Take care.